Hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Simplicity. Sorry, I have an echo going on here. I forgot to turn off the volume. Okay. Hello. It is Fun Friday, and I apologize. I know this is a pre-recording. I like to do these things live, but the last few Fridays, it's been really hard to get these done at 11 o'clock. We need to kind of readjust the timing on this. So just to cover myself, I decided to record this Friday and have it uploaded at 11 as I try to figure things out because I love doing these fun Fridays and I don't want you to miss out. And this week I really want to show you a cool technique. And I was reminded about this technique from Wendy Vecchi. And I learned this technique from her years and years and years ago on creating backgrounds using inks. And it was always, I loved doing it. And so I wanted to revisit that, but I also wanted to kind of experiment with it with different inks. All right. I'm calling this the move over water. Here comes alcohol. Because when we do inky backgrounds, in terms of the dippity do, as I call them, backgrounds, and I'm going to demo all this with water. There's a, you kind of distort the paper sometimes, and you get some pilling happening, and but when you move on to alcohol, something magical happens. So let me just back up the train here. Let's go from the very beginning and let's just have some fun. All right. So move over water, enter in alcohol. All right. Okay, so basically, this technique is really great when you do a dippity-do background, all right? And when I mean that is that we do this typically with water-based inks, and I'm going to show it with Distress. So I'm just going to grab a couple of colors here. So I have two colors here. I have Prize Ribbon and I have Abandoned Coral. Those were the two that were on top of my pile. So that's what we're going to use. So this is what a typical dippity-do, as I call them, background you create with water. And this is when you apply your ink right onto your craft surface and you spritz it with water. So you have this little kind of puddling happening. And then you take your cardstock, and this is just plain white cardstock, and you dip. All right. And you create a lovely background. All right, so there's one, but you can see what's happening with when you start using water. Things start to curl, paper starts to curl when you add water to it. Sometimes you get a lot of pilling happening with regular cardstock as well. So let me just put that to the side because I want to add a second color on this one. So let me just clean up this mess. All right, I am going to zap this with the heat tool just to dry it, or not, because okay, we will, because I found my heat tool. It wasn't plugged into the wall again. All right, so let me just plug this in and let's dry this. So you can see, look at that paper curling, right? Now, as we dry this, it will flatten down, but it will be slightly distorted. Now, I've always said that paper really doesn't have no memory. You just kind of bend it back into shape. But I do want to show you the difference between the water and alcohol, and it's a huge difference. So um, let me just dry this. I want to add my second color. You can see it's flattening out. All right, so that's all right, so there is my first color on here. I'm going to show you this. You can see that the paper is not lying flat. All right, I'm going to grab my second color and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to build up. We're going to do the same thing. And we're going to spritz this and we're going to do a dippity do. I love creating this. We're layering those colors on and it really creates a kind of a fun marbly background. So I'm going to dry this one. Now this paper accepted the water fairly well. I don't have no pilling happening, which is great, but my paper is definitely distorted from the water. All right, not a big deal. You just kind of bend it back in shape. You add some extra adhesive for your background. and you'll be fine, right? That's how we've always said. All right. So there is mine. It's all dry now. You can see that it's not lying flat. It's somewhat like distorted, but great background, right? Love it. Okay, so let's enter in alcohol now. So I learned this back in the day with Wendy Becky, and it was always with her archival ink. So that's what I'm going to start with. All right, but we're going to go ahead and experiment with some of the different inks to really show you how this works. Now, these are the Distress archival inks. There's different archival inks on the market. These are the ones I have here at home, so these are the ones I'm going to use. All right. Now, these are not water reactive, but I'm going to use them, but I'm going to show you how the difference is with alcohol. I will come back to the Distress inks and do the same. All right. So I'm just going to grab a couple of colors here. All right, so let's do the blue. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to add the ink right on my glass mat here. I know I'm shaking the camera here. All right. And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and add another color in here. Why? Because I can. All right. So I'm going to go ahead with picked raspberry in here. Now I'm not going to layer it right on top, but I'm going to layer it together kind of beside each other. All right. You can see that ink on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray alcohol in here. Now this is rubbing alcohol. All right. Now here's the thing, guys. Now, usually on the shelf is 70%. All right. You want to get 90 or above for this to really work its magic. You can do the 70% in, but there's more water in the 70%. So the higher above 90, the better results you're going to get. So when you go and ask this or go to the drugstore for it, sometimes it's not on the shelf. Sometimes you have to ask the pharmacy for the 90% and up. But the higher the percentage, the better results you're going to get. All right. So I just get a bottle of it and then I put it in a specialized, I shouldn't say specialized. I put it in a spray bottle, but I put it in something that looks different from my water bottle. That's what makes it special. So I know that this is alcohol. And then this is my water bottle. All right. So I kind of know the difference. Okay. So then you're going to go ahead and my bottle was empty, so I have to wait. Okay. So you want to start spraying that. Now you can see you're going to get little droplets and all that. Now they're pretty, it's different when you spritz the Distress ink with water and you get the water droplets. When you go to Dippity Doo, those water droplets usually disperse. These ones will not. So I'm going to just use a palette knife and start kind of just moving that alcohol into that ink so we don't have any of those little drops. Okay. You want to be in a well ventilated spot for this as well because you are spraying alcohol. All right. So, all right. So I've got the alcohol on there. Now watch this. I love this. You are just going to dippity do. Now it's going to soak right into the paper. And I always love watching it. It's kind of like really cool. Um, okay. So you're just going to do that. All right. Now take a look at that. Look at that paper. It has not distorted whatsoever. The basically the alcohol in the mixes with the ink and is being absorbed into the paper. And then we all know that alcohol vaporizes very quickly, and then that dries really cool and you get this really cool marbleized look. I love the look on here. So there is the alcohol with the archival inks. Now as this dries, I'm going to zap this with the heat tool. You can let it air dry, but just for the purpose of this video, I am just going to zap it with the heat tool. And what the cool thing is because the ink absorbs into the paper, sometimes the backside is even better. All right. So when we use the water and the Distress ink, it doesn't soak into the paper. It just lays on top of the paper where the alcohol will get absorbed into the paper. And there's my backside. All right. So you can see that it gets absorbed in there. And sometimes the backside is just stunning. All right. So um, either or, you're going to be loving this. All right. So there it is, dried, lovely. And that is right in there. And again, your paper is laying flat. All right. So if you look even this one, even as is dried, you can see that it's still bent and distorted. This one is still laying flat. And that is the cool thing about the using alcohol. All right. So you're still going to get that same kind of background look with your inks, but just it just makes it a little bit easier. And I just love the color combinations. Now, that was how Wendy always approached this with the rubbing alcohol, and it was always with archival inks. But I want to try it with the other inks. So let's go back to the Distress inks, okay? So this was the water one. Now let's do the same colors with alcohol and see, let's see what happens, okay? So we have the blue, and we're going to do the abandoned coral. We're going to do both colors at the same time because, I want to try other ones. So again, I'm going to spritz this. And you'll see that the ink does just a weird thing with it. Like you'll get those drops, but you want to mix them up, like I said. It's like the alcohol um, is a little bit thicker than water, all right? So you're gonna see that. I have a little bit of purple in there because I didn't clean off my palette knife from the last colors, but that's okay. All right, so then we're gonna take this and we're gonna do the dippy dip, okay? I don't think I had enough alcohol on here. All right, so this is the Distress inks with alcohol. All right, very cool. Again, I kind of mixed it up. This is what I mean. If you don't mix it up, you're going to get that kind of, but look how beautiful that is. I'm going to clean this up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dry this. And again, the paper's not being distorted, which I love. All right, so, and you're still getting all those kind of variations of color, darker tones, lighter tones. The alcohol does not distort the color of the paper. Once it evaporates, it's going to be back to the kind of original color there. All right, so all your white space is still that maintained. All right, so there is the Distress ink with the alcohol. And this one here, because I probably didn't have enough ink on there because it's not as vibrant as there. It didn't soak through as much. But there is with water and there is with alcohol. And again, nice flat papers there. This one is a little distorted from there. All right, let's carry on. Let's try another ink. Let's try Simon Hurley inks. All right, so let's go with yellow and this orange. And let's go 3 colors. All right, so we'll do the same type of application. I'm going to just rub some of this right on my glass mat. Ooh, that one is quite inky. All right, so we've got the 3 colors on here. Again, these are dye ink pads from Simon Hurley. They are water reactive, all right? So we're going to go ahead and spritz these with the alcohol, and I'm just going to use my palette knife just to mix in that alcohol in with the ink so that we don't have those hard spots. Okay, so, and we can mix them up. Okay, and now let's go ahead and dip. And this one is going to be awesome because I have put a lot on there. You can see that it's just soaking in. Ooh, this one's going to be pretty. All right, so I'm going to let that dry. And look at the lovely inky background we did with that. And again, look at that paper laying flat. All right, let me just clean this up. All right, I'm going to zap this with the heat tool just to dry it. It will dry on its own. It doesn't take that long, but just for the time sake here, I'm going to just give it a little zap. And take a look at that background. That one's pretty cool. All right, and that's dry already. So you can go ahead and stamp on there. You can die cut this. And again, you can see that it's not distorted. So that is a Simon Hurley ink. So they work as well. Let's continue on. Let's see what else we can do. Um, let's try Lisa Horton. These are her matte blending inks. So let's pick some. Well, you know what? We should probably try the interference as well. That's an interference there. And that's an interference. So apparently I have these mixed up. All right, so let's do, I don't want to do the same color combination here. All right, let's do Coral Beach and Rum and Raisin. That sounds like fun. And then I'll do these interference inks. Okay, so let's see if these work with alcohol. All right, so these are not going to go on as vibrant. They're more like kind of oxide inks, in my opinion, but we've got some there. This is going to be really light. So I'm not sure, but we'll see how this works. All right, so let's spray the alcohol on here. All right, I'm going to use my palette knife, just kind of mix it up a little bit. Again, you want to be in a well-ventilated area for this because you are spritzing alcohol, all right? Ooh, this one's going to be pretty. It's going to be light, but it's going to be pretty. I can tell already. All right, take a look. Look at that one. That is stunning. So yes, it works with the Lisa Horton ink. So that means the oxides will work as well. You can see the lovely kind of blend that you get. This very vintagey in those colors that I just did. I'm just going to zap that with the heat tool. Oh, that is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit more of this kind of, this is Coral Beach. All right, so I'm just going to apply. I know you really can't see it. It is a light color, but I am going to add a little bit more of this. All right. And you can do layers, all right? So, all right, so now I've got a little bit more of that peachy color in there, which is lovely. But take a look at the backside. All right, so that is just as lovely. So that worked really, really well. The Lisa Horton inks worked really well. I'm going to let that dry on its own. All right, let's move on to the interference inks. This will be interesting. I'm just going to use one color because this is an interference ink, right? So maybe multiple colors will come. Okay, so let's go ahead, give this a little spray. I'm going to grab my palette knife and start mixing that up. This one is called Galaxy Dream. Oh, I can see the shimmer in there. Oh, this will be interesting. This will be interesting. All right, so cardstock, and again, this is just plain white cardstock. It's not watercolor paper or anything like that. It is plain cardstock. I love how that ink just, the alcohol just soaks right in there with the ink. It's just fun to look at. All right, let's just see. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, let me just see. Okay, this might be my favorite, guys. Just saying. Okay. So, do you see that shimmer? Oh my gosh. That is so cool. All right, and let me dry this. Oh my gosh. I wasn't going to try the interference inks, but I'm glad I did because this is amazing. Okay, so we tried Galaxy Dream. All right, you're going to get that darker purple as the base color, but all that shimmer like rose to the top there. And now we've got this layer, a beautiful shimmer on top. Oh my gosh. That is gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to add another color with this one because why not? All right, so I'm going to do this one here. Was one of the limited edition colors. It came in a 3-pack for, I forget what it was called, but it was with the, ooh, this one kind of leaked, it looked like. Let me just find the garbage here. Okay, let me, not a big deal. We will just clean that edge up. Okay, are we ready? It's really like, all right, so let's go. This is not the color I expected it to be, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. That one is like oversaturated in color. My goodness. Guess you should use these right away. Okay, so I'm going to spray this, and then I'm going to use my palette knife to mix this in. There's a lot of ink on here, guys. Now this is supposed to be called Yuletide Sky. To me, on the packaging, it looks purple, but here it looks like this beautiful blue. All right, let's go ahead, dip, dip, dip. And let's see what we come up with. Good to the last drop, right? Okay, so let me go ahead and dry this because there's a lot of liquid on there. Okay, so we are getting more purple sparkle on there. Look at that. That is incredible. All right. Now that color is probably a little saturated with whatever's going on with that ink pad. I'm going to have to clean that up. But the interference inks really, really work. Again, you can now stamp on that. Everything is flat on there, right? So, which is lovely. You can die cut that as well. Oh my gosh. Okay, so those are Lisa Horton inks. We've done the interference inks. We've done the Simon Hurleys. We've done the distress inks. Let's see. What else we got? Well, why don't we try the metallic inks from Lisa Horton? All right. So this is a Verdigris, one of my favorites. It's kind of a tealy green color. All right. So I'm going to do that. Let's just start with one color. And let's mix that up. Palette knife. And let's see how this reacts with the alcohol. I'm running out of card bases here, or card panels. All right, so let's see. Ooh, it's pretty when it soaks up in there. I think I have to do a second color on there. All right, yes, you're getting some of that metallic coming through as it dries. I'm just going to put that to the side. I'm going to grab another color. Let's mix it up with some pumpkin. All right, so again, these are the metallic ones. Okay, so let's do a dippity dip. I like to cover all the white spaces, so I'm just going to kind of dip that in and let that alcohol kind of soak into the paper, because I always think it looks good when it's all fully covered. But I think I ran out of, let's see if I can. Okay, so let's take a look at the, ooh, look how fun that is. All right, let me dry this because there's a lot going on here, and let's see how that metallic shimmer comes through. We have it. We have metallic shimmer on top. Okay, so let's see if the camera can pick up that metallic shimmer. Do you see it? It's there. It's not as much as the interferencing, but it's definitely there. It is beautiful. I didn't know how that orange and the blue would turn out so nicely, but that is a beautiful background. So that's the front side, but look at the back side. That is so cool as well. Should start designing my own paper now, I think. But look how awesome that is. All right, so that is the metallic inks. They work. I'm starting to think anything's going to work with this alcohol. This is awesome. Okay, last but not least, let's try VersaFine Clair. All right. This is a great blending ink. You know that we love using VersaFine Clair. But let's go ahead and add, see how this kind of fares. Now, I don't have another piece of paper. There's one. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we're going to use Portobello because we all know we love that. Okay, so we're going to do two colors at once here, and then we're going to mix that up with some baby pink. All right, so let's do that. It's like a science experiment. All right, so I'm going to use my palette knife and kind of mix them up. And kind of start mixing them together. Okay, let's see. This is a thicker cardstock. This is my normal Nina White cardstock that I typically will use. The other paper was just 100-pound basil paper. Just soaking it all up. Okay, are we ready? Let me clean up the mess first before I flip it over. Ooh, take a look at that. That is pretty awesome as well. All right, and that's almost dry. You can just see slightly it's wet. And there's the backside. Now, there was a little bit of blue that came off from my fingers, but it's kind of mixed in there, which is really, really cool as well. All right, so move on over water. Enter alcohol, okay? Really great to make your backgrounds, the inky dippity do backgrounds. And again, I cannot stress enough that it's got to be 90% or more. You can definitely try with a 70%, which is the standard that you'll find on shelves. But 90 and above, there's like 90, there's 92. Sometimes you can find 95, 97. This is 99. Got it from Shoppers Drug Mart. So they have it. But that's what's going to work the best with this. Again, you're going to put your ink down. You're going to spritz it with alcohol. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated room because the alcohol is strong. And then mix it in with a palette knife and then go ahead and make some fabulous backgrounds. So we have, this is VersaFine Clair. I should write this down on here, right? So I know. If I can find a marker or a pen, one would think. All right, we're going to use, one moment. Okay. All right, so this is VersaFine Clair. No, yeah, VersaFine Clair. This was Lisa Horton Metallic Inks. This one here was, oh my gosh, that looks really good. Lisa Horton Interference. And then this one here was Lisa Horton Cloud 9 Matte Inks. This one here was the Simon Hurley ink. And then this here was Distress inks. And then this one was Archival inks. And then, so these are all the ones with the alcohol, and then this is the one that was with water. All right, look how lovely. These are all flat, nice little pile of flat ones. And then we have this one that is really distorted. But let's just go through. Use alcohol for the dippity do. All right, so it works with alcohol inks, Simon Hurley inks, Distress inks, Lisa Horton Cloud9. This one turned out really, really pretty. I gotta say, I love that one. And same with the interference inks. I love the shimmer on there. They really stands out. The metallic inks are beautiful as well. And VersaFine Clair. So all those inks work really well with the dippity do process with alcohol. All right, so try it out, guys. Try it with the inks that you have. Create some backgrounds. These are going to be awesome. I'll leave these as samples up at the store. But I'm going to continue creating backgrounds with some of these inks and make some lovely backgrounds for some card fronts. So thanks for joining us for Fun Friday on this experimental day as we experiment with alcohol and ink and how to create some inky backgrounds. So thanks for joining me today, and go try it out. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.